Good morning everyone, my name's Mick. I'll be doing some cooking today for the Leeds Listening Room. Today's dish will be chicken korma, and while the korma's cooking we'll be prepping and cooking some onion bhajis. So we'll start with chicken fillets. As you can see, just a normal pack of fillets. If you're just cooking for one, then you can get a smaller pack, but if you get a pack like this, you can actually freeze it, so you've got meals to vary through the day. What you're doing with the chicken is you're just cubing it up. Always best with a sharp knife, and then nothing slips in your hands when you're trying to push too hard. Cut the chicken. In between this, when you've got through your second one, that's when you actually want to put your frying pan on, and with that you can then brown off the first bits of the chicken that's in. Right, so that's enough to go in pan first. So what we want to do then is just put a thin film of vegetable oil in the pan. Put it on a low heat. Just get the oil spread around. And then just sprinkle the chicken in so it's not all clumped together. So while that's warming up, browning off, let's do the second two. Chicken itself, if you don't mind doing this and touching it, then that's fine, but normally you can get cubed chicken, which will save you half the time. You'll just be able to throw it straight in the frying pan. Same again with this, you're just cubing it off. So that's ready to go in the second one. With chicken, also remember to wash your hands. You're going to touch your bells. curry we'll be using, pataks I'm using, but there are other variations available. Today I'm just doing a straight korma, so we've got two kormas. I do actually, at home, mix them. So you can have a nice korma based curry, not too hot, throw a tikka masala in, jalfrezi. It's all good, different flavour, not as hot. As the chicken is cooking in a pan, what we need to do is turn over so it's being browned off evenly on all sides. So as I'm just turning the chicken now, turning the raw sides downwards so it can cook in. It's a safe way not to poison yourself. Ideally, the colour of a chicken that we're looking at when it's browned off is a white. So as we keep turning, just observe that your heat isn't too high. And just keep an eye on your chicken so none of it browns. The chicken itself will just, as it is now, won't be safe to eat, and two, while it's cooking in a pan, it's marinating. So we're almost done with number one. Right, so all the chicken's done now, it's all browned off. The plate that we had from the first two breasts has been poured in with it. We've now got onto the pepper, which there's no particular colour. If you're going to put it like in a stew pot for a big curry, you'd need to bulk up with more peppers, more mushrooms, more onion, as well as the chicken. So now with the peppers, we pour that in. That's the peppers done. Now the onion. Just get rid of this. Right, so if you tear off the first layer, and then with onions, normally I'm not affected, so I shouldn't be crying in front of you. Old wives' tale, if you can't cut onions without crying, is to wet a wooden spoon, the end of it, and then throw it in your mouth, and it absorbs all what comes up and makes your eyes water. So chop the onions up. As you can see, I do need a better knife. Now the onion's done. So we now put the onions in. Here we go, here's a knife I prepared earlier. Right, the mushrooms. So you obviously Separate the stalks from the top. What we've got in there, about 6 should do it. We have a little container on the side, just whip off the top. The longest part of doing this curry is the browning of the meat. The rest of it, you can either prep it before with a curry. If you're having it the next day and prep it the day before, you can actually just throw it all together uncooked, stick it in the fridge, and it marinates really nicely into the meat. So the base of the mushrooms, chop them up. Well, that's in the bin now. So with the mushrooms themselves, we just half them. Quarter pretty much. As for the stalks, they're not very big, just cut them in half, and then there's still a nice mouthful in every bite. So we pour this in. So that's now the chicken, which has been browned, the pepper, the onions, and the mushrooms. So now we want the sauce in. So give it a good shake. And just pour it in. I've actually got a little tip. So once you've poured that in, if you boil kettle, hot water, what we do with these, as you can see, my hot water's already here. Just put a bit of hot water in. You'll find that with most curries, when pouring it out, half of it's stuck to the jar. So with this then, you've got a lot more juice. You've got mushrooms, which is going to be drying all the moisture in the expand and cook. So then from there, you just want to mix it all round. If you do have a wok at home, try using a wok, because this can be actually quite messy as you're mixing it all in. So from there, we want to put the heat back on. This here is probably going to be good enough for around 4 to 5 persons. So there's plenty to freeze. And if you just spread the onions and the chicken so it's all, if you can, beneath sauce level. taste. So, for the korma, we've done chicken breasts. We've cut one onion in there. We put one pepper in. We've also put mushrooms in. The peppers are optional, but for me it just bulks it up a bit and gives you more in a bite. Normally it's just the chicken and the onion, maybe the mushroom. Yeah. So now we've got the korma cooking. So as the korma's cooking, keep going to the pan every 10 minutes or so, just to give it a quick stir. What you're looking for is all of it being cooked together, i.e. the chicken's cooked, the mushrooms are cooked and the onions are cooked. So don't forget to stir every 10 minutes. This way you can actually do it with an Alexa if you've got one, as a reminder. Just do it on your phone as an alarm. Now we're actually moving to onion barges, which is a first for me, so you'll have to bear with it. What we need is 2 onions, mild chili powder, turmeric, baking powder, pepper, salt, flour, and that's pretty much it. Plain flour. We need the scales to do the measuring. This is just at flour. As you can see, that's slightly off. So from there, what we need to do is there's a little button at the back, and this turns. Don't make the mistake of setting the scale without the top you're going to put on it. Otherwise, what you do stick on top of it isn't going to be the proper grammage of what's needed. So then from there, with that on, you then just rotate the knob at the back and put it on 0, so everything that you are going to measure is going to be bang on. So we'll just put that to the side for now. So to start with the barges, what we need to do is cut 2 up, same way as we did before, both ends off, take the first level off, get rid of all the rubbish, because I'm sure you don't want onion skin in with it. Now, what we need to do with these is, actually, to be safe, use a fork just to hold it. What we're actually looking for here is thin slices. As you can see, it's a lot easier to do that with a fork. And while we're waiting, once we've done the onions, we need to put them in cold water, then we can actually prep on the batter mix. So we'll put the onions in cold water. Let's do the second one. Right, so we do the same with the second onion. Just slice it. not too thick. And again, put this one in cold water to soak. So now from there, we need to do the measuring out. Just need to dry this out, so water in. Bearing in mind, while you're doing this, don't lose concentration. Just to give you a curry stir. Should be able to tell by now with the onions and the mushrooms especially. Get them into the sauce, they'll cut a lot quicker than just sat on top floating. Right, so we want 100 grams of plain flour. So, oops. Can be lumpy flour if you want. Right, so that's 100. For the minute. Right, so what we can actually use for the batter is actually a bowl or anything that says the measure out. Right, so we actually, what we need to do is sift the flour. Take out all the lumps, and it also a lot better. Push it through. Then we want 1 teaspoon baking powder, or rather half a teaspoon. As you can see there, we've got half a teaspoon. Sift that through. Right, so that's the sifting done on that. Right, so then we want to add a teaspoon, half a teaspoon again. Definitely with this being chili powder. Turmeric. Half a teaspoon with that. Right. And a good sprinkling of salt. So the last thing to go in is the chili. So we want to cut the ends off. Slice it down the middle. We want all the seeds out. If you can, cut the stem bit off in the middle. That way you can see that all the seeds are out then. So we want to chop these up. Quite being careful not to get seeds mixed back in with this. Of course, the variations on chilies, if you like them really hot, and obviously you can get the stronger ones. Should they then want to go in with the batter mix. We now need 100 millilitres of water. The measuring jug always comes in handy to get the right amount. Mix the water in with the batter mix, and if you've got something that can go around and just knead it, get it all soaked in. What you're after is something not too thick, but then again not too thin and all, because it needs to hold onto the onion. So just a bit more water in there. Right, so we now have the batter. Right, what we do next is it's obviously dipping the onion into the batter and then pouring it into either a pan, or you can use a normal pan. So what you want is your vegetable oil. We want about 5 centimetres in the bottom of the pan. Put on a medium to high heat. You can actually clear up some of the stuff here. Right, so while you're doing this, don't forget about the korma. Just give it a quick stir. Which you know yourself with the korma and all, I can tell it starts to thicken up. So that's looking good. The rice we're going to be using is the microwavable rice. Easy, 2 minutes to do.